Good morning, everyone. Lindsay Mercer here, and I'm excited to welcome you to day one of our FreshStart 5 training. Now, FreshStart 5 is 5 days of intentional mindset training to identify your motivation, to overcome mental obstacles, and to create a vision for your future. Now, I just want to be super clear and super upfront about who this training is for. First of all, it's for anybody. Okay, so there is no one that is excluded from obviously taking the time to go through and really invest in yourself and invest into your future. So this training is for anybody. However, I do want to let you know that this is not going to be practical how-to. There will be a little bit of that in it, but primarily this is going to be training for people who really want to build something with Norwex, whether that is a consistent and reliable income for your family every single month, whether that is a team that you can coach and mentor and pour into, whether that is a business that is going to be a legacy that you can leave for your family, for your children. Norwex, they do allow you to will your business and to bring in someone to take over the business that you have built. So that is incredibly unique in our industry. And that also tells me that Norwex is a company that plans to be here long term. They operate day to day in a way that gives stability to us as consultants, that gives longevity to our business. They're always seeking to stay relevant. So if you're wondering, is this the company? Is this the place for me to be investing my time and my energy and my effort? I can tell you this company is going to be around for a long, long time. So this is going to be 5 days, again, of just intention, and it's going to be talking about different obstacles that we run into. So I'm just going to give you a rundown of what we're going to be covering in these 5 days, okay? So today, day one, we're going to be talking about your why. And what that means is essentially, what is your internal motivation? Why are you wanting to get out of Norwex what you want to get out of it? Because that is what's going to keep you moving forward. So I'm going to be talking about and teaching you exactly how to find that step by step. Tomorrow, day 2, we're going to be talking about dreams, goals, and tasks. How those things are different, but how they all are required and how they all need to work together in order for you to win every day. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about practical ways that you can move forward every single day, so you feel like regardless of the results that you may get from those things that you do, you know you have done what you need to do to move forward, to be working towards those big goals. Day 3, I'm going to be talking about the mindset shift of asking versus offering. And that is a mindset shift that will bring you guaranteed growth. So we're going to be talking about that. What does that mean? What are the nuances behind that? And how do we apply that practically to move ourselves forward? Day 4, we're going to be getting into it, you guys. So we are going to be talking about truths versus lies and why what we believe matters. We're going to be talking about that big old F word. You know, I have talked about it before and I will talk about it again. We're going to be talking about the fears that hold us back and identifying them. Sometimes things hold us back and we don't even actually we can't even name it. We don't know why we can't do the things that we feel we want to do, but we're going to be breaking that down. We're going to be identifying those things so that we know what they are, we can recognize them, and we can move past them. And then day 5, we're going to be wrapping this whole thing up with creating a vision for your future. I'm going to be talking about the power of a vision board and how every single year recreating and revisiting your goals are going to help you continue to move forward and to have something new to work towards, and also remind you of what your why is, which is what we're going to be talking about today. All right. So we're going to dive right into it. Are you guys ready? I'm just going to keep moving forward. If you guys are jumping on, watching this live in our team page, absolutely go ahead, comment, let me know that you're here. But I'm going to go so that people watching on this replay are going to be able to get right to the content. So today we are talking about knowing your why. And I'm just going to start by sharing my personal story of how I got started with Norwex, because I feel like it really gives a good kind of example of what this whole thing is and what we're talking about. So I joined as a consultant in 2009. My husband and I had been married for just over a year. We didn't have any kids. I really liked the body cloths, and my friend was like, Lindsay, you should really sign up. And I was like, no, thank you. That sounds, I don't want to be a part of that type of business. I had a really bad attitude and a really bad, had a lot of judgments about what we do here, and I didn't understand it really. And I thought you had to become a certain type of person. So I was very hesitant to say yes to Norwex. But when she was driving home from a party that she had done, and she told me that she made $600 in one night, $600 for me at the time was an entire week of work at my 8 to 5 job that I was working. So that to me was extremely significant when I learned about the type of income that she was making. Did I think that I was going to sign up and make that type of income? No. I signed up because I'm like, well, I'm telling people about the body cloth, so I'll make $8 when people want to buy a body cloth. And I did have, I thought, well, maybe in the future this could be something, that I could really lean into. Maybe once I have kids, I could do it. It was there, but I wasn't pursuing it. I was pursuing other self-employed options. I was thinking about starting different types of businesses and maybe incorporating Norwex, but I was not looking at Norwex in and of itself as a business. So that was 2009. Then we had our first child in 2011, 2 years later. And then we had our second daughter 18 months after our first in January of 2013. And it was in January of 2013 that I full on experienced what people talk about when they refer to a rock and a hard place. I had gone back to work part-time while my first daughter was, 12 to 18 months old. I'd gone back to work part-time just to squeak out enough hours to get my second maternity leave for so I was already 3 months pregnant when I went back to work. I had to have that conversation with my boss. But when we had our second daughter, I was like, all right, I was not making enough money at that job. I have my business degree. I was an executive assistant to an international vice president at a global engineering firm. Okay, so my take-home income was all right, but I knew that if I put 2 kids in childcare, I had experienced getting up early, dropping those kids off, planning for them for the day, and my husband was in patrol, in police. So his shift was all over the place. I couldn't rely on him to help me with that. And so I experienced how hard that was and I'm like, shout out to the single moms out there, right? So I'm like, okay, that doesn't feel like a great option to go back to work, to put 2 kids in childcare, to have what left at the end of the month? $500, right? After I've paid all those fees. But the other option was I don't go back to work, my maternity leave ends, and now we're short $1,600 a month, which is what was floating our budget, right? So that rock and that hard place, oh my gosh, I felt that. But I couldn't go to Starbucks. I couldn't get a job that had a regular schedule that required me to be somewhere at a certain time because my husband's schedule was constantly changing. So I needed exactly the type of thing that Norwex could provide me. And although I was still looking at different opportunities, I was like, Norwex is already paying me. I don't need to invest $10,000 or $15,000 in a new business startup. And I don't even know if I'm going to make money. I'm like, Norwex is already paying me. And I had been a consultant. I had been doing maybe, 3 to 5 parties a month. I've been doing it. I think I might have even been a sales leader at that point, or TC moving into sales leader. But despite it all, I still hadn't looked at Norwex as an actual business. And it wasn't until a strong motivator was in my life that I said, okay, I actually need to start looking at this differently. Because you don't need a why if you are just here to purchase for yourself at a 35% discount. That is your why. It's an amazing savings, right? But when you want something more, you have to have a why, because whatever that internal motivator is has to be stronger than any objection, any obstacle that you face. Your why is what makes you wake up in the morning and work when no one else is there telling you what to do every single day. A lot of times we show up to things and we're like, oh, I just need to get motivated. You know, I'm just looking to get motivated. I'm going to show up to this team meeting and then I'm going to feel motivated. No, what you're feeling is inspired. There's a big difference between feeling motivated and feeling inspired. Motivation comes from what's in here. Inspiration comes from what you see out there. You get inspired by what is possible. You get inspired by other consultant stories. You get inspired by seeing the success that others have experienced. That's getting inspired. Being motivated, that only comes from in here. So if you're wondering why you haven't been able to build momentum in your business, is because you might be mistaking inspiration for motivation. So motivation comes from your why. So let's talk about it for a second, okay? And I'm not wanting these videos to be super duper duper long, so we're gonna get right into it because it's a really practical process that you can go through in order to find your why. So the very first question that you start with, and I encourage you to have a notebook or have a journal that you can really take the time to go through these things, dive into these things, and write them down, because it's a powerful process instead of just trying to work it all out in your mind. So right at the top of the page, you're gonna say, why am I doing Norwex? And I want you to really ask, like, yes, because you love the product. Yes, because you like the 35% discount and commission, but why are you wanting to build a business with Norwex? When you have the answer to that question, why do I want to build a business with Norwex? I want you to ask yourself a second follow-up question. I want you to ask yourself, why does that matter? Whatever your answer was to why you want to build a business with Norwex, your follow-up question is, why does that matter? And then I want you to write down what that answer is. And then ask the same follow-up question again. Well, why does that matter? And write down the answer. I want you to repeat that process, because what it's doing is it's actually digging down into the places that we don't often go to. If you're not used to really hashing things out, asking yourself these questions, really trying to dig up your internal motivators, you might have never done this before. Now, when you do this process and you ask yourself, why does that matter? Why does that matter? Why does that matter? When you reach a response, an answer that elicits an emotional reaction, that's your why. That is how you know that you have uncovered what your true motivator is. So if I had gone through this process, when I was sitting between that rock and a hard place, and I would have asked myself, well, I want to be able to stay home with my kids. Okay, well, why does that matter? Because growing up, I always knew I wanted to have a family and I wanted to be able to stay home with my girls. Well, why does that matter? Because I want them to know that as their mom, I'm going to prioritize them. They are going to be my number one. That's your why. Giving me is mine. Giving my kids security, knowing that mom is going to be there, knowing that they can rely on me, that was my why. So when someone said, no, I don't want to have a party, I was like, no problem, I will find somebody else. Because your no is not stronger than my desire to give my children security and stability. Do you see how that all of a sudden makes such a significant shift into how you see what you do in a day-to-day business and how you see people's responses to you? I'm not going after a yes just for the sake of doing a party. It is so much bigger than that. It is so much beyond that. And for me, having that why means like, I actually don't care how many no's I get. I'm gonna get a ton of no's, so will you. It's actually not a big deal, because we're gonna deal with that on day 3. We're gonna be talking about how to shift your mindset so those no's no longer affect you. How would you feel about that? If you could hear no 100 times a day and you'd be like, all right, I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna tell you about how to get there. But in order to even start that process, you need to know what's happening in here. You need to know what your why is. The biggest thing, you guys, is I don't want anybody, you guys included, I don't want you to do anything in life because you think that you should. Because you think that other people expect something of you. From the first day that I started team building, I always said, everyone has a seat at the table. If you don't want to build a business and you just want to be here casual and you want to take advantage of that amazing 35% and you want to fill your home with Norwex, perfect. You are equally as valuable to me as a leader as someone who's like, I am going to go all the way to the top. I'm like, perfect. No one should do anything that because of someone else's expectations. So I'm doing this training because I want to help you guys identify your motivators, not because I'm trying to get you to do something you don't want to do, right? So you can take anything you want and you can leave the rest, always. So I'm just I'm gonna wrap up this video with this. So right after the video is done, I am going to post basically a reflection that takes what I talked about in the video and gives it a practical application, and it's just a short exercise for you to do to really maximize what we talked about on that day. So obviously today is going to be about finding your why, but I want to encourage you guys with something, okay? Sometimes when we're at the beginning of the process or we're just starting to build our business, for me, I was 100% motivated by the income. I'm like, my family needs money to buy groceries and float our budget and not just be house poor, right? I was 100% motivated by the income. And that is totally fine, right? That is totally fine. But what is so beautiful is when you grow a business like this, direct sales is really personal development wrapped in a compensation plan. That's really what it is, because you are going to learn so much about yourself. I have heard so many stories. I've been to so many different events where consultants stand up and they say, I did not expect that I would find my purpose, that I would grow in confidence, that I would feel like I had something for me that gave me an identity outside of my roles that I wore when I was at home, whether it was with my spouse or it was with my children or whatever. It gave me something to work towards that I could have autonomy in, and I could express creativity in, and I could really be me and watch people be drawn to that. This business gives you community, it builds your confidence, and you are actually impacting the health of other people. So this is not just a company like any other company. We are a company that operates on the core values of integrity, trust, and respect. And we have a product that is impacting families in incredibly significant ways. If you have not recently taken a poll of testimonials from your customers, I encourage you to do that and just ask, how has Norwex positively impacted your home? People might say it saves me money, it saves me time, but you might get some of those strong stories where my child went off of his asthma inhaler, my kid no longer had bleeding eczema, these things that are actually happening because of what we are teaching people and how we are educating people. So it is this beautiful coming together. It's this beautiful marriage of your why and your motivation and your reasons with a company and a product and a mission that is making a difference to other people's families. And that is so, so powerful. So I just want to encourage you guys, commit to these 5 days. Again, the videos are not going to be super long. If you signed up for the email list, I am going to be emailing these out to everybody as well, along with those daily reflection questions. So you can really take it at your pace and when you want to. But I encourage you, try as much as possible to follow along day to day. Just devote the time to pressing play on the video and going through the exercises, because oftentimes, if you don't do it right now, it's hard to find the time to do it later. So just dive in and go for it. This is what we're going to be focusing on team-wide this week. So I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. I'm going to be posting that reflection question right away, going through the exercises, and then later on this evening, I'll also post a follow-up right here on our team page, just for any questions that you have, anything that you want clarification on, making sure that everybody is right up to speed and being supported through the whole process. So I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I look forward to hearing your why.